for some reason I wanted to videotape this cover coming off. So if you don't know, I'm back in Alabama after almost a year living in Hawaii. Good and bad about Hawaii. There was lots of both. It's a beautiful place, but as far as restrictions and lack of freedom, and the cost of living is pretty insane. I would say comparable to one of the big cities, East Coast cities. Kind of ridiculous. Cost of housing, cost of food, cost of fuel. I'm really glad to be back in Alabama, and I don't really remember ever saying that. I grew up here, you know. I spent most of my adult life here, and to think that I would be so joyous to get back to Alabama. I'm not a big cover person. This is the second cover I've had for a motorcycle. This cover came with the bike, like my last cover. The last cover I had was in the 90s. Let's see, yeah, early 90s I had a bike that came with a cover, and I covered it up a few times while I was living in an apartment. I didn't want people to know there was a motorcycle there, because you live in an apartment, it's basically like, you know, leaving your wallet on a counter in a whatever. Somebody's gonna take your freaking bike. So I covered that thing up, but I don't care about sun and rain and all that stuff. But in this case, I didn't know how long I was gonna be gone, and as you can see, this cover really protected this bike. I really don't know what my ideal of talking about this thing was, other than the fact that I can't wait to see the inside. I mean, there's all kinds of crap on top of this thing, which means if nothing else, I would have at least had to wash the bike, which I hate doing. But you know, I'm different than everybody else. I don't really care about looks the way most people do. I don't really care about how shiny things are. I mean, you could look at any of my vehicles and tell that. You know, the one thing I do think is a good idea, if you wash your bike consistently, like I knew a couple of dudes that did that. They'd ride out in the mud and dirt and get all the mud and dirt off of it. That's good. Keep it in your garage. But not just that, they get a good up close look of what's going on with their bike. So if anything is broken, anything's chipped, anything's leaking, you know, you got loose bolts, you got all kinds of things that you could diagnose. Well, it's a little bit moldy on the inside, which I kind of expected, but the thing that I really liked about this, it's a nice cover. It's got vents here, or at least what looks like a vent. Yeah, it's got vents. Waterproof, water shedding vents. Anyway, I expected there to be no mold on the inside, but I guess this is fine. Kept most of the trash off of it. There is some moisture, and I didn't expect much moisture at all, but that's okay. Let that dry out a little bit. Now, let's go get the key and see how bad the battery is. Almost don't even want to try it, because you know the battery's probably not going to start it. If it gives me anything at all, and it gives me nothing at all. Hoping it hasn't been struck by lightning, which has happened before. If you don't believe me, I'll put the video up here, and you can go check that out. Make a believer out of yourself. I'll wash those off real quick. Put a battery charger on here. Maybe we can get this thing running today. What are the odds? All right, it's charging. Give that a few hours. Maybe I can ride this beastie tomorrow. Okay, we got lights. That's good. Very weak lights, but lights nonetheless. So there is a little bit of juice being able to be held at least. So now, I think, clean these seats off. Check the oil. I think the back tire. Looks like I may be needing the back tire soon. Nah, I got another 4,000 miles out of that thing maybe. We shall see. So it's the next day. Of course, this battery is dead in hell. I think it was holding just over 12 volts, but as soon as you turn the ignition on it, so it wouldn't crank, so I had to go get another battery. Had to get another battery for my truck too, so $300 worth of batteries later. See what happens. Here's a hint. Already turned it on. So it cranked immediately, but then it went plop, plop, originally. And then it wouldn't crank at all. I was like, oh man, I got fuel problems. I don't want to clean injectors, fuel filters, all that crap. And I was like, no, I'll just keep, man, that's a good bike. I don't have to worry about all that crap. And I just kept, and finally, you know, just kind of cranked on the throttle a little bit and boom. Running just about as good as it did when I left. It needs a lot of cleaning. I got to clean the seats, the grips, get some mold off of here, check the oil, and then I should be in good shape. I'm very excited. You know, nobody knows what kind of trouble I go through for production. In this case, removing a tree limb so I can photograph my stupid bike cover pulling off thing just to see if the battery's still good. And more importantly, yeah, I was gonna go see if I could find some clippers, but Camp Axe, I love this thing. Oh, it's going with me on the bike. One of the few things that hasn't rusted, my Fiskars.